Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'm pleased to present my recommended fiscal year 26-27 budget. While I have the honor of presenting this budget, it represents the work of many hands across the organization. Departmental leadership carefully reviewed costs, looked for savings, considered needs, and reflected on your priorities. They worked closely with my office and our business management and communications teams to develop the information I'm sharing tonight. I'm incredibly proud of the work the town team has done with this budget to align our financial plans with your strategic priorities while sustaining high-quality services and reinforcing long-term fiscal stability. Before I walk you through how we built this budget, I want to share the bottom line up front. I'm pleased to share that I'm not recommending a tax increase. This budget holds the property tax rate at 50 cents per $100 of valuation. The total recommended budget is $169.7 million. That's a 3.4% increase over last fiscal year. The general fund makes up nearly $100 million of that total, with our four enterprise funds, the debt fund, CIP fund, and other annually budgeted funds making up the remaining $69.7 million. Now I'll walk you through how our recommended budget comes together. We begin each year by reviewing major revenue sources. Like any local government, property taxes are our main source of revenue and how we fund our everyday core services, from fire and police to sanitation and parks. For fiscal 27, we expect a 6.9% increase in property tax revenue, which means an additional $3.5 million for the general fund and $1 million across the debt service and transit funds. This expected increase is based on data from Orange County that shows that as a result of a much smaller number of property tax appeals, property values and therefore property tax revenues will exceed earlier projections. Sales tax revenues are also growing, with current collections coming in at about 5% higher than expected. We project an additional 3% increase in the next fiscal year. As the revenue picture comes into focus, we consider how we can best steward those dollars to serve our community. For fiscal year 27, we are recommending strategic investments across four areas: advancing council's strategic priorities, competitive compensation for our talented workforce, funding and strengthening our core services, and continuing our progress toward long-term fiscal sustainability. At your retreat in January, you identified four strategic priorities: complete community, environmental resiliency, housing, and organizational and fiscal sustainability. In addition to guiding your work for the next 2 years, these goals also guided the development of this budget. Complete community is a bold vision for our community's future that advances thoughtful growth, multimodal connectivity, and vibrant, vital neighborhoods. This budget supports our staff in bringing your vision to life. It funds our continued work on the LUMO rewrite, and it also enables new initiatives to engage builders, developers, and investors who are aligned with our vision. And we're funding a study to look for economic development opportunities along our bus rapid transit route. This budget also supports your vision for everywhere to everywhere greenways. As you know, we are in the midst of a feasibility study, and I believe our town team can make progress toward your vision while that study is still ongoing. I've started conversations with our business management and public works teams about how next year we can leverage anticipated excess fund balance and our public works staff to build some smaller scale, quick wins greenways projects that will advance this important priority. I look forward to sharing more about this with you in the fall. Our community knows that we are committed to the environment because you've made environmental resiliency one of our ongoing strategic goals. In fiscal year 27, we'll update our climate action plan and continue to green our fleet, solarize our facilities, and mitigate the impacts of climate change. We'll also continue to implement our stormwater master plan through new and continuing programs based on our recent conversations with you. Because of your focus, our staff, and our partners, we're making real progress on our housing goals. This budget continues Council's direction to dedicate nearly 3 cents of the tax rate to affordable housing, supporting the creation and preservation of homes for low and moderate income households. With this budget, we'll also continue our efforts with community partners to address homelessness and our work to reposition our public housing program. Your goals for operational and fiscal sustainability are seen throughout this recommended budget. We know that sustaining high-performing operations means investing in people and equipment, and it means using data to inform decision-making and resource allocation. We also know that your ongoing commitment to our 5-year budget strategy is helping us get closer to a sustainable level of funding for the people, programs, and services that our community values. Our employees are our greatest asset, and they face real challenges, from everyday stress and long-term burnout to the rising cost of living and struggles with work-life balance. Their skills are also in demand for other Triangle local governments who offer competitive pay and benefits. This budget invests in our employees in the following ways: a 4% of market pay increase, which helps us retain our excellent talent, promotes operational stability, and reduces costs associated with high turnover. It funds mandatory increases in the state retirement contributions and a 10% increase in medical insurance costs. That's due to broader trends in the insurance market, including higher claims experience and industry-wide price adjustments. This budget also includes 3 new positions to ensure staffing keeps pace with service demands. Those positions are a fleet technician, a library experiences assistant, and a destination coordinator for our economic development team. When we talk about our core services, we talk about everything from police and public works to planning and parks and recreation. And we talk about all of the town functions that support those services: procurement, contracts, fleet, human resources, technology, and more. As with your household budget, our organizational budget is facing rising costs across the board. It costs more to provide all of our services, whether that's filling up our police cars with gas or renewing the software we use to check out library books. And our staff is always looking for ways to keep costs down while maintaining excellent service. Here are just a few examples of that in action. Our communications and engagement team saved $12,000 by leveraging staff interpreters rather than outside vendors. This has also led to better connections and increased trust with our under-engaged residents. Our police department saved the town $17,000 by conducting driving records checks in-house rather than through an outside contractor. In addition to cost savings, this has also improved the turnaround time. Our Parks and Recreation team is saving over $18,000 annually by revamping the duties of aquatic specialists so that they both lifeguard and lead programs, rather than relying on temporary staff and outside contractors. There are many more stories of cost saving and efficiency from departments. And across all departments, costs continue to rise at an unprecedented rate. Here are a few examples of the inflationary increases we're experiencing for the everyday services our community members expect and enjoy. Our recreation staff shares that in 2022, the cost of a basketball was $59. Just 4 years later, that same basketball costs $99. The CO2 our aquatics team uses to regulate pH levels in our swimming pools has doubled in cost since 2022. In the last 2 years, Public Works uniform rental costs have increased by 15%. In the last 4 years, the road salt that Public Works needs for de-icing roads has increased by 38%. While we always have inflationary increases for software, we are also facing a very sharp increase in hardware costs. Compared to last year's order, costs have increased by 32%, and vendors are warning us that prices could potentially double by this fall. These increased costs are happening across every single department, program, and service we offer. That's why, in addition to asking our staff to continue their good work to save money and increase efficiency, I am recommending an additional $544,000 to address these rising operational costs and ensure the ongoing excellence of our everyday services. Some of our core services and infrastructure are addressed in your 5-year budget strategy, which aims to address backlogs across multiple town operations. Here's how this budget continues our path to long-term operational and fiscal sustainability. Our community expects well-maintained buildings and streets, but years of deferred maintenance remains a significant challenge. This budget invests an additional $250,000 annually in facility needs, such as HVAC improvements, roof replacements, and small repairs. It invests another $250,000 annually in street resurfacing, covering an additional 2 to 3 streets. Our aging vehicle fleet requires ongoing investment to both address inflationary repair costs and make good on our commitment to electrification. This budget expands the replacement program by funding 6 additional vehicles beyond the 17 already planned. Fire capital needs remain steep. Increasing annual funding from $500,000 to $1 million moves us closer to addressing essential equipment needs, vehicle replacements, facility designs for stations 3 and 4, and safety tools that protect all our residents and firefighters. Our 5-year budget outlook continues to guide our path to long-term operational and fiscal sustainability. And while we can't account for every unknown or eventuality, I'm confident that the good work we continue to do together is creating a more solid fiscal footing for us. We have 4 enterprise funds that are separate from our general fund. For fiscal year 27, 2 of those funds are decreasing while 2 are increasing. The transit fund decreases slightly due to changes in interest income, federal grants, and shifting Route 420 back to operation by Go Triangle. The parking fund decreases by 1% and is balanced with a transfer from the debt service fund. A parking study started this summer will guide long-term sustainability. Public housing increases 4% to meet rising operational costs, and stormwater increases 23%, including a recommended fee adjustment to fund system mapping and critical infrastructure work that are required by our permit. In summary, this recommended budget strengthens our financial foundation, advances community priorities, and ensures Chapel Hill remains resilient, well-run, and ready for the future. I believe that it reflects our values and advances our mission of learning, serving, and working together to build a community where everyone thrives. As we move through the fiscal year 2027 budget process, we welcome your questions and feedback.